Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel Carmona Aparicio, and I am the Circularity Research Manager of the Aluminium Stewardship Initiative. And today I'm going to present advancing resource efficiency and circularity in the aluminum value chain. To start with, I would like to emphasize the core ethos and mission of ASI. We're not just another organization, we're a collective of passionate individuals and entities who believe in the potential of aluminum to be sourced and produced responsibly. At the heart of ASI is collaboration. We bring together producers, users, and diversity stakeholders from the entire aluminum value chain. This multi-stakeholder approach ensures that all voices are heard and all perspectives are considered. So what drives us is the fusion of two critical elements, aluminium and sustainability. We understand the significance of aluminium in modern society, and our mission is to ensure its production and sourcing are in line with the best sustainability practices. Our journey began in 2015. So while sure, our role goes beyond that. We are a standards-setting body, ensuring that industry benchmarks are not just met but exceeded. And while certification is a significant aspect of what we do, our vision goes beyond certification. So we constantly strive to raise the bar and drive the industry towards more sustainable practices. Our strength lies in our global team and membership. And in essence, ASI is more than just an organization. It's a movement towards a more sustainable and responsible future for aluminium. So what has been ASI's growth? As you can see in the figure, the number has been improving through the years. So we aim to influence the entire global supply chain, ensuring sustainability and responsibility at every step. As our membership grows, so does the diversity within ASI. This brings challenges, especially as some members may initially be distanced from our standards. Addressing these gaps is important, and it's where we see the potential real change. Our formula is simple. ASI's participation and engagement, combined with capacity building and assurance and integrity, lead to a consolidated effort. This effort, driven by all stakeholders, is our pathway to affecting positive global change in the aluminum sector. At ASI, we have two standards. The performance standard, which represents our commitment to sustainability and responsibility throughout the aluminum value chain. The standards addresses a comprehensive range of environmental, social, and governance topics. So from biodiversity and climate change to human rights and business integrity, these standards provide a clear framework for all our members to ensure that aluminium production, use, and recovery are done responsibly and ethically. On the other hand, transparency and traceability are at the core of the chain of custody standard. It's designed to ensure that aluminium produced and processed under ASI's performance standards can be tracked through its journey. So from its source of production to its final products, these standards ensure that end users can trust the aluminium they use, knowing its history of responsible sourcing and production. In essence, these two standards collectively underline ASI's unwavering commitment to fostering a sustainable and responsible aluminum industry. They provide a roadmap for our members and set the benchmark for excellence in the sector. So entering the topic that brings us here today, here we have the global drivers of global warming by source of emission. So looking at the broader landscape, it's evident that global warming is driven by various sources of emission. While the world has been dealing with potential solutions, there are three energy strategies that have come to the forefront. So the first one is switching from fossil fuels to bioequivalence, or even production of hydrogen. The second one is clean electricity through batteries, renewables, and nuclear. And the third main strategy is carbon capture, storage, and utilization. So these strategies are seen as the primary tool to achieve the Paris Agreement targets. However, the reality is that they alone won't suffice. If we look at current project of carbon storage and utilization, so they're still at the plan level and not actually operating in mass. If we look at electricity or clean electricity, the gap between the total demand and the amount that they are generated at the moment is quite far from achieving that, let's say, 100% demand of electricity. And when we think about bioequivalence, even when we look at the small fraction of biokerosene that we need to produce, that implies that we need to triple the amount of biosources when we compare to what we currently use for food consumption. So these policies definitely are not enough for tackling climate change. And the reality is that it's not only about climate change. So for the first time, all the 9 planetary boundaries have been assessed. This was a research release in September. And as we can see, by 2023, 6 of the planetary boundaries have been transgressed. So from global warming to biospheres and deforestation, from pollutants and plastics to nitrogen cycles and fresh water alteration. So this new research shows that we don't have much time to tackle all the environmental impacts and planetary boundaries that we have crossed. And that put a lot of pressure. In fact, it leads to irreversible changes and harm to humanity and to the earth in general. So this is one way to understand sustainability of resource use, which is the reason behind this critical planetary situation, is via tracing biophysical resources from extraction to services such as sustenance, illumination, thermal comfort. And there have been several approaches proposed to understand these interactions between the elements that goes from natural resources and then passing through resource extraction and conversion change. And then we have 2 types of resources, if we can classify them: operational resource flows and material stocks, and then to the services, and finally the material aspects of well-being. And I'm talking about here about stocks because since 1900, material stock levels have increased 23-fold globally, and these levels will continue, and greater numbers of flows will be used to maintain the stocks as society accumulates more and more physical assets. I'm talking about buildings, vehicles, infrastructure, machinery, devices. However, these resources are not necessarily linked to improvement in quality of life. So we have 200 million people lacking adequate housing, or 200 million hours required to obtain or getting access to water or to education. Plus, the stock maintenance and expansion is also responsible for nature's degradation, biodiversity loss, and climate change. So in this case, this approach, which is the one we're using at ASI, we try to focus on the 4 blue blocks. So keeping resources circulating from the extractions to the service, and understanding what are all the interactions that are happening there. In today's world, we often find ourselves trapped in a linear economy, a one-way street where resources are taken, used, and then discarded, leading to a build-up of waste. In fact, it's estimated that global waste will increase by 20% by 2050 if we continue on this path. And that's because new products are equal to new raw materials, that there are persistent elevated levels of waste generations, and that we only implement recycling measures at the end of pipe. So what is a circular economy? Circular economy is a system solution framework that aims to eliminate and circulate non-biological materials and regenerate biological ones, all by design. The circular economy is about designing. So this is a representation of what we know as the butterfly diagram of the circular economy. On the left, the biological elements, on the right, the technical elements such as aluminium. So rethinking our current models, we could transition to a circular system that prioritizes renewable and sustainability. And the principles of circularity suggest a framework where nothing is discarded. Instead, the conclusion of one's product life cycle becomes the inception of another. In this system, products undergo continuous cycles of utilization and revitalizations, turning what we often deem as waste into valuable resources. By shifting to these circular mindsets, we're aiming to diminish waste and promote a more efficient, resource-conscious approach. As we assess our present trajectory, it becomes evident that adopting a circular model could present numerous advantages. This transition is about making the most of our resources, introducing innovative solutions, and aligning our method with the planet's natural processes. Circularity is not just an idea. It's about using resources wisely to support sustainability. Research showed that using a circular approach could cut waste by 80% by 2030. Aluminium, in fact, is a great example of this approach. About 75% of the aluminium may still be in use because of the properties, but also because it has been recycled. Aluminium shows the benefit of reusing materials, like saving energy and reducing harm to the environment. However, 80% of companies get circular economy wrong. In fact, recycling is only scratching the surface. Instead of a zero to landfill policy, the idea will be to focus on 3 different questions. For example, how to keep your products in use longer, how to get them back, how to turn them into new products, and doing this again and again. So it's what we call the circularity iceberg. So try to explore other approaches of design for REX. So for example, design for recyclability, or design for remanufacturing, of product life extension, resource efficiency, circular supply chain, etc. So less waste and more cash. The ideas are waiting there for your business to start with. At ASI, we have proposed a circularity framework to guide our strategy towards creating a more sustainable aluminium sector. This framework comprises 5 elements. So we have the lifecycle stages, a driving change role, circularity strategies, circularity business models, and metrics. So the framework is designed to provide a holistic view of the transition to a circular economy, moving beyond a narrow focus on recycling rates and encompassing a wide range of strategies, business models, and metrics. And it will help ASI members understand their role in this transition, identify appropriate strategies, and measure the progress effectively. So let's deep into the different elements that form this framework. So the first step is to understand where are you placed in the life cycle stages of aluminium. Depending on your position, you will have different strategies and different roles. So again, if you are responsible for bauxite mining, it will be completely different for the companies responsible for product manufacturing. So, and depending on this position, you will also have a link to the different benefits of aluminium. For example, you will have to highlight how can you make aluminium more recoverable because its properties, where can you save energy and carbon, where can I produce less red mods and tailings, how can you improve reuse, repurposing, or recycling, because that means also less bauxite mine needed. So The idea is to understand your role at the beginning on the life cycle stages. The second step is to understand your role, but for driving change. We have three roles here. The adopter, which is more internally. How can you enhance the internal environmental sustainability performance of your company or your entity? So how can I incorporate a new technology or new practices or new procedures? The second role is the enabler. So that's more about how can I empower customers and suppliers into the transitions toward a circular economy. So for example, if I develop new products or new technology, how can I transfer those into my supply chain? So in this case, collaboration, it's really important because, for example, if I want to create a new product, it's important to talk with the distributors or with the person who sell the product or the one who manufactures, depending if you are, for example, at the cast house level. And the last role is the influencer, which is how can I promote collaboration among stakeholders to foster circularity? Stakeholders such as ASI or regulators or communities or academia. So how I talk to them to improve the circularity, the adoption of circularity. Then we have a set of strategies that we call the R strategies, for example. I have grouped them here by three umbrella strategies: sustainable by design, which includes refuse or how to avoid single-use or disposable products; rethink, which is more about redesign my products in terms of sharing initiative, membership business, cradle to cradle. And the third one, redistribute. How can I favor convenient, safe, and public services, provisioning system for society, decent living standards, collaborative consumption. The second level are resource efficiency. So how can I reduce the use of resources? It could be at the plant level or at my product level, for example, by lightweighting, less material use, downsizing, miniaturization. Reuse through modularity, easy disassembly, or repair, also including remanufacturing and refurbishment. Finally, repurposing, which is a kind of way of upcycling. Then we have regenerate at the end of life recovery, which is rehabilitation, carbon capture garden. For example, if my company operates in a city, or rehabilitations in the case of mining. Then we have the recycling, as is well known, related to downcycling and cascading. And finally, reclaim, which is more about what are we going to do with the stocks, how I claim those materials, which is also known as urban mining. The four elements of the framework is the circularity business models. We have basically three groups here. So new revenue models, paying for use instead of ownership, how the producer remains the product's owner, and how can I create models such as leasing. The second one is supply chain collaboration, so new alliances between companies in new and established production chains, and how can I support circularity value chain or circularity networks for the exchange of knowledge. And finally, something that is key is traceability, so using technology to transparently track and manage product life cycles, and promoting responsible sourcing and informed decision making. So an example of this, for example, it's the digital product passports. And the fifth and last element is the measuring points. So we have 4 measuring points following the narrow, slow, circle balance approach. So narrowing the material demands, slowing the degradation of stocks. 3, increasing the circularity rates of cycling resources. And 4, the balance, which is measuring any potential impact that my circular strategies might produce. So we can have in order to avoid trade-offs. So for example, don't increase more carbon emissions because I'm now doing repurposing. So I want to leave it there because I'm running out of time. I want to conclude with some questions for you to read after, and I want to encourage you to consider to be partnered with ASI. And by working together, we can promote a collaborative approach to sustainability, ensuring that we all contribute to a more responsible future. As we wrap up, think about the impact you can make in this collective journey towards a sustainable tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I'm open to questions. That is my email, so send your questions to this email, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you very soon. Thank you. Bye.